What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm bringing you guys my 3 structure decks of Blue Eyes White Destiny deck profile. I know I'm behind, very behind. Um, Trust me, I may or may not be going through another burnout, but I'm trying to fight it, trying not to be burnt out. Um, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Essentially, I'm fighting another burnout and I might have to step away from the game and content creation for a little while again. But on that note, we're gonna hop straight on in to this deck profile. Starting us off, we have 3 copies of the big man himself, Blue Eyes White Dragon. Um, if you do plan on upgrading this deck, you can go down on Blue Eyes. You don't need to play 3. You can definitely play 2. No less than 2. No, well, obviously no more than 3. But I wouldn't go to any lower than 2, just because Blue Eyes has a lot of utility that has been given to it. And using it to take advantage of that utility is really nice. Next, we're on 3 copies of the brand new Maiden of White. Maiden of White can send herself from your hand or field to the graveyard to place True Light from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone. Then, if you special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon while she's in your graveyard, you can special summon her. And then, if she's targeted by a card or effect, you can special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a level 1 Light Tuner from your graveyard. I believe it's only from your graveyard. I could be wrong on that. That effect doesn't come up a whole lot, but just in case if you find yourself in a scenario where that effect comes up, do be sure to check on that effect. Next, we have 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Sage with Eyes of Blue, on normal summon, ends a level 1 Light Tuner. So happens that Maiden is a level 1 Light Tuner. There's another monster in here that we're running that is a level 1 Light Tuner that is exceptionally good, especially just in other decks as a whole. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. But on normal summon, adds a level 1 Light Tuner. Then he can send himself from your hand to the graveyard in order to target a monster you control to send it to the graveyard to special summon a Blue Eyes monster or a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. Really solid card. This is from the original legacy support wave that we got all the way back in Shining Victories, and this is one of the cards that took Blue Eyes to Worlds in 2016. And it won, which is crazy. And it's even crazier to think that was almost 9 years ago. Anyways, 3 copies of Neo Kaiser Seahorse. This is something that you don't have to play, but with how much openness the main deck gives you, playing 3 of this is not that bad. It's also a 1 card combo to be able to set up plenty of interaction. Then we're on 1 copy of Blue Eyes Jet and 1 copy of Dictator of D. Jet is just a bounce during the damage step, so they can't detonator in response to this if you're playing against Red Seal. Dictator of D, for me, I'm playing it just because it's a way to extend through Nibiru. It's also a starter that foolishes a Blue Eyes White Dragon. So if you're, as long as your opponent doesn't Valor or Imperm your Link 1, you can revive Blue Eyes with it, unless its effects are no longer negated after it tributes itself. Not too sure on how that would resolve because nobody plays Dictator of D. I'm playing it just because it's a way to get through Nibiru. It's a way to just simply set up. It sets up the spheres. In theory, it sets up the spheres because it has a way to dump a Blue Eyes and then revive a Blue Eyes. So there's that, and that is it for the Blue Eyes monsters that we are playing. Moving on to the Blue Eyes spells and traps, we're on 3 copies of Wishes for Eyes of Blue. The reason why you play 3 of this is because it's probably one of the best legacy support normal spells that we have seen ever. This card is insane. This is like the Blue Eyes equivalent of the Dark Magician spell trap that stacks a card on top of your deck and then like draws you a card. I forget what the hell it's called. But yeah, this thing is leagues better than that. So you discard a card, add a level 1 light tuner, which, haha, funnily enough, Sage, Maiden, and this other card that I've been alluding to are all level 1 light tuners. You add one of those from your deck to your hand, and then you can also add a spell trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon, except for another copy of Wishes from your deck to your hand. You can banish it from your graveyard to equip a monster from your extra deck to a Blue Eyes White Dragon that you control. You can only use each effect once per turn. Really solid. Absolutely insane card. Then we're on 3 copies of Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon. It's essentially an emergency teleport for Blue Eyes White Dragon, but if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon when you activate this, you can also summon a Blue Eyes monster. And it summons from deck or grave. I believe it can also summon from hand. No. It's just deck or grave, right? Dead Grave or Banish. Sorry, I forgot a zone. So yeah, and so it has to summon in defense. It has to summon Blue Eyes White Dragon if you don't control Blue Eyes White Dragon already. This card is just really good as extension, as recursion. It's a good grind game piece. You can banish it from the graveyard in order to fusion summon something by using the appropriate materials from hand or field. This card is nuts. I say it's nuts. It's actually not that crazy. It's good, but it's not like insane. Then I'm on 2 copies of Ultimate Fusion. This thing, really good fusion spell. You can fusion summon a Blue Eyes or a fusion monster that mentions Blue Eyes or something like that by shuffling materials from your hand, field, or graveyard back into the deck. And if you use Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon from your field, you can pop cards on the field up to the same number of Blue Eyes and Blue Eyes Ultimate and or Blue Eyes Ultimates that you used on the field in order to conduct your fusion summon. Then we're on 1 copy of Mausoleum because you need at least 1 copy of it for the Link 1. And what does it do? You get an additional normal summon of a level 1 light tuner monster. You also can target a monster you control, send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard to give a stat boost equal to the level of the sent monster times 100. And then if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard in order to add a burst stream of destruction from your deck to your hand. Next, I'm on 3 copies of Majesty. This thing is at worst 1-for-1 removal, at best 3-for-1 removal in my list specifically. You reveal or you show any number of Blue Eyes White Dragons from your hand, field, or graveyard, and you can pop an equal number of cards your opponent controls. It's non-targeting, crazy. And then if you were playing the rituals, you could banish it from your graveyard to ritual summon a monster. And then we're on the 1 copy of True Light. True Light, very simple. Your Blue Eyes monsters gain some form of protection. I don't know if it's targeting protection or what. Yeah, it's targeting protection. If it leaves the field, it wipes your board, which is a little unfortunate. And then it has 2 other effects where you can either just summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a Blue Eyes monster. Yeah, no, it's Blue Eyes White Dragon from hand or graveyard. Pretty solid. Or you can set a spell trap that mentions Blue Eyes from your deck. This thing grabs all of these. You can only grab one of them at a time, but you grab this off of Maiden, or you Maiden, put this face up. This set like Wishes, or if you already have Wishes, you can set Roar or Ultimate Fusion, or you can set Majesty. You know, insane, absolutely insane card. And that's it for the Blue Eyes cards. Now for the hand traps, starting us off, we have 3 copies of Effect Veiler, searchable off of just about every every card in this deck that says search a level 1 light tuner, because lo and behold, Effect Veiler is a level 1 light tuner. Yeah, everybody already knows that though. Then we got 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, as well as the 1 copy of Called by the Grave because limited to 1. I'm honestly starting to lean into the boat of all the Yu-Gi tubers that understand competitive Yu-Gi-Oh more than I do, that Called by needs to go. It needs to go away. And I couldn't agree more. Very standard for just 3 structure decks. Plus, this is a very impressive hand trap lineup for 3 structure decks. Usually, you have to do a couple of upgrades before you can get to that point. But, you know, not with the Blue Eye structure deck. It's the most pushed structure deck in all of Yu-Gi-Oh's history. I say that, but in reality, it's not. There's probably a more pushed structure deck. Regardless, I digress. I'm on 3 copies of Spirit with Eyes of Blue, just because it's 3 structure decks. Playing a 3rd copy of this doesn't really hurt. You can recur this by using Ultimate Fusion, and it's just a really good card to have multiples of, because it lets you bridge into your Heavenly Spheres by using spellcasters. Nothing like turning a spellcaster into a dragon, and then using that dragon that you just summoned to then make a extra form of interaction. Then we're on 2 copies of Spirit Ultimate. It's an Omni Negate, and whenever it negates something, it gains 1,000 attack until the end of the turn, it's 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. Then whenever it dies, you just summon a light synchro or a dragon synchro or something like that from your graveyard. You basically summon a monster back from your graveyard. It replaces itself when it dies, which, how's your opponent outing something that's 4,000 defense and possibly 4,500 attack? Well, you out it yourself, because most of the time you're summoning it off of a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, which can tag itself out to summon a light dragon synchro monster from your extra deck. It's also a graveyard effect negate, so it can negate Tracked in the graveyard to fusion summon. It can negate the Fiendsmith Link 1 in the graveyard. It can negate Eclipse Twins. Like, it has a lot of utility. And then the tag out, you can also tag out in the same chain. So if you go effect to negate something in the graveyard, they attempt to negate with, like, Imperm if they don't control anything at this point. You then go, oh, effect to tag out. Because it tributes as cost, I believe. So if they called by it, it sucks. If they have called by, damn, that sucks. But your opponent still had to use 2 cards on your 1, so this thing always trades favorably. And then if they don't, you can summon Blue Eyes Spirit Ultimate, or in my case, I am playing a singular copy of Azure Eyes because this gives your board protection from effect destruction. Only what you currently control, and only until your opponent's turn, or until the end of your opponent's turn, which is a long time to have protection. But even at that, it's not that great. I would only play one of it. It also has a hidden effect where during the standby phase, you can revive a normal monster from your graveyard. It's not that great. Next, I'm on 2 copies of Tyrant Dragon, which, if you do end up going and upgrading your structure deck, one card I would recommend, but isn't necessary to pick up for upgrading the deck, is Super Polymerization, because this just requires Blue Eyes White Dragon plus any dragon monster. So, in the mirror match specifically, if your opponent goes True Light to revive a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can Super Poly to use their Blue Eyes White Dragon and another dragon that they control, and just make this guy. He's unaffected by trap cards, And then, at the end of the damage step, whenever he battles, you just set a trap card from your graveyard. So he can set your True Light back, he can set your Majesties back, he can even reset your Infinite Impermanence. Wild. Then we're on 2 copies of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. The only effect we care about on this is while it's in the graveyard, if your opponent targets a card you control, you banish it from the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy that card. Absolutely insane card. It wasn't great for a while because it's like, why am I wanting to go out of my way to summon this big 4,500 thing that wants to attack multiple times, and then it has an effect in the graveyard to just banish and negate something? Like, that's too much setup. But now you can literally just wishes equip this to Blue Eyes, Synchro into Spirit, and then this is in your graveyard to give you targeting protection against anything your opponent would do. So in that scenario that I was talking about earlier, where if your opponent attempted to target your Spirit Dragon with a negate while you were trying to negate something in their graveyard, you can then do this thing in response to negate that. Crazy. Then we're on 1 copy of Indigo. It's like a worse Dark Ruler on legs that also can't attack directly if it doesn't have a vanilla as material. You could cut this for either a 3rd copy of regular Spirit or a 3rd copy of Tyrant, or you could very much play the 3rd copy of Spheres. That's also an option, but I went with playing one of this just because it can come up. It's also it detaches a material to revive something. So that is going to be that. And now we have the side deck that, to be honest, you could just skip to the end of the video where I'm doing my outro. Or you could click off the video now because the side deck really isn't anything special. But if you want to see what I came up with for a side deck and a quick little like run through of why I'm running what I'm running, just bear with me. We've got 2 copies of Dictator of D. Again, something to help with going second. It's a way to start without using your normal summon. And camera. Hanko. Camera. Dictator. Super strong card, but not strong enough in other people's eyes, which I agree. This card could be better, but again, being a free body that is a foolish when you attempt to summon it, that you can then convert into the Link 1, really good, in my eyes. Then I'm on 2 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon in the side deck. This is a board breaker. Again, bear with me on this. I'm grasping at straws because the rest of the cards in the structure deck don't help you build a good side deck. But bear with me. Alternative is a board breaker because it can pop a monster. If you open with a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can reveal it, summon this, attempt to like force out something from your opponent, or just simply just remove a monster that may cause issues. You know, it's a board breaker. What else can I say? Then I'm on 1 copy of Dragon Spirit of White, which again is also kind of a board breaker. You can side this in over the Jet Dragon whenever you're in a back row heavy matchup, because this on summon removes a back row by banishing it. Then if your opponent controls a monster, you contribute it to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or deck. Or it's hand, deck, or graveyard, or it's just hand or graveyard. Something along those lines. Then I'm on 3 copies of Burst Stream of Destruction, because board breaker. that's kind of the running theme with Blue Eyes, is a lot of their cards outside of the new support, like all their older support and stuff, board breaker, random extension through Nibiru. Burst Stream is something that you can do by going a summon alternative. If they negate the effective alternative and you still control it, burst stream, get rid of all their monsters, and then all they have left is whatever is in hand, as well as, if anything on board had destruction protection, or if they had any way to bring stuff back. Then we're on 2 copies of Melody to search out our copies of Blue Eyes Alternative, as well as just Blue Eyes White Dragon. I know it's kind of weird to play a consistency piece in the side deck, but the main deck is already consistent enough. I was also, again, grasping at straws here. Sorry, throat's a little dry. Then I'm also on the 3rd Ultimate Fusion in the side deck. And just in case of, you do end up in a game where it's, super duper ultra mega grindy, and you need that 3rd Ultimate Fusion, which you can technically summon an infinite amount of Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, because you could put Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon from your graveyard back into the extra deck in order to summon another copy of itself. Pretty great. And then we're on 3 copies of Destined Rivals, which Destined Rivals is a Dark Ruler. As bad as that sounds, it's kind of like Dark Ruler. Except it doesn't give your opponent the line of text that says they take no damage for the turn. And you also have to control a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a Dark Magician. What do I mean by this? Well, if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dark Magician, you can negate the effects of all face-up opponents' monsters currently on the field. There you go. Then we're on the 1 copy of the Ultimate Creature of Destruction. It's not that great of a card. I don't really want to cover it because it's very complicated, convoluted, and I'm at 22 minutes on this recording. So I'm going to pause the recording, get everything set back up for the outro, and I will see you guys in that outro. Well, guys, I hope you did enjoy this very, very overdue deck profile. And on top of that, I want to say sorry that I keep disappearing for weeks on end. I'm trying to fight burnout. And also, I've been streaming on Twitch anywhere from once to 3 times a week. I usually try to stream Wednesdays after I get off of work, and then Thursdays and Fridays. If I don't have anything going on, or if I don't have too much going on, I do try to stream a little bit there as well. There should be a link to my Twitch in my towards the top of my channel. It's the only link in my channel's description, so go check it out if you guys are interested in watching me stream. I stream plethora of games. I've been streaming some Pokemon. I've been streaming the Dark Souls series. I'm playing through all of the Souls games in weird, wacky-ish ways. Like, I did Dark Souls 1 as a strength pyromancer, but it just turned into a strength build without the pyromancy. I did Dark Souls 2 with a dexterity build, which don't do that to yourself. And I have my Dark Souls 3 run planned out because I experimented with it off stream, just on my own time. And I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a wild fucking ride, but it's going to be fun. And then I also plan on going through Demon Souls. I've already done Bloodborne as well. I just did a regular build on Bloodborne because I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go through this as fast as I can. So I already did Bloodborne. I already did Dark Souls 1 and 2. Next I'll do 3, and then I'm probably gonna do Demon Souls. And then I'll do Elden Ring. Just because, I don't own Sekiro, so I can't do Sekiro. But again, if you guys are interested in anything like that, go to my Twitch channel. Check me out. I try to stream Wednesday nights, Thursdays, and Fridays if I don't have anything going on to keep me busy and away. And on that note, I am at 25 minutes, so I need to end this video and stop rambling. So I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.